Stand by for the Brewery Underground podcast.
In Nashville's what will rise, cracked and bruised will meet the skies. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite.
And Sean, I want to go back to when you're rating in beers. Is there anybody that you look at, like your friend, first to see if they've rated it and to see what they've rated it? Are you influenced by anybody else, or are you just kind of like, you know what, it doesn't matter what anybody else is rating it. This is how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I don't really let other people influence
Yeah.
me.
Or are you
I'll rate
curious?
things-
Or are you curious? So I'll say this because
I'll definitely check it out.
since Scott and I do a podcast, together, a lot of times when I'm checking in a beer, I'll be like, I wonder if Scott has rated this. And I'll look at Rich and I'll look at Mitch. I'm like, I wonder if those guys have rated it. It doesn't necessarily influence my rating, but I'm curious sometimes as to where I'm checking it in, because I think sometimes it becomes some fun conversation too. So maybe from that standpoint, when you're talking to your friends.
I definitely think so. I definitely, because it is sort of a conversational piece.
Yeah.
As I said, I score very high, and so I take a lot of heat for that locally. People give me a hard time. Because I know people who say a 3.5 is
Great.
the baseline, and that's
Yeah.
where they sort of, so every beer is a 3.5 unless it goes up from there, where I sort of use 4. So those
get
sort of
that.
discussions are had. Obviously, everyone has their own individual taste, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is kind of a question for all of you, and I'll start with you, Sean. Like, has that ever changed for you? Like, you just reminded me. So when I started, it was 3.5 was my hey, I'll have it. Well, 3 was I'll have it again. 3.5 was kind of above average and kind of where I started. I've adjusted that to 3.8 now, where you're maybe at a 4 with those. Has that changed for you over the years? Have you kind of started that? And I'll throw that question to all of you guys.
I definitely think so. I would say, like, for the last 5 to 7 years, I don't give beers a 5 stars unless they're really good. But when I was first getting into Untappd, there was beers I would give 5 stars to, and I look back now, I'm like, wow, I don't know if I'd give that a 5 now. It's still a good beer, but I don't know. And then also, I think I was more like you in the sense I was more like a 3. 3 was for my starting baseline. But it has creeped up because brewers, it impacts their sales. And,
Yes.
I've sat at a bar or a brewery bar and sort of watch people come in and say, oh, well, look on tap and be like, oh, well, I only want the beers to have 4.0s or, and I get that mentality, but there's some really good beer out there that probably aren't really, but they're still good beers, and that's not fair to the brewery.
So, Rich, has yours been adjusted as you started?
100%.
Maybe where you started out was
Mine was, in fact, for the longest time, my baseline was a 3. If I thought a beer was good and I would have it again, I would give it a 3. And then if I thought it was amazing, then I would start at a 4. I think, Sean, you're going to find most of us here are probably all in agreement that we often don't give out 5s. That has to be really, really special. Like, I've given out plenty of 4.75s, 4.8s, 4.9s, but in my opinion, there's always something that can be done a little bit better. Maybe that's just the, Merca in me is like, there's always something that can be better, right? So, but then again, I don't want to detract from the rating. I don't want to sit there and say, this is a great beer, but it could be done better. 3.5. Like, I will give out 4.5s. I'll give out 4.75s. I will say, as corny and nerdy as this sounds, the Untappd Insider subscription that I pay for has really forced me to dial in what I want to give a beer, because going from 0.25, scale to a 0.1 scale really allows me to determine what's the difference between a 4.5 and a 4.6 or a 4.7. That's really forced me to sit back and think about that. But to Scott's question, I did start at a 3, and I think I'll let Mitch kind of talk about him, but he's done the same thing. He's gone up on his ratings too, I think, because to Sean's exact point, when we check in a beer and we go, oh, this beer's good, and we give it a 3.5, you know, we've had multiple breweries on the show where they go, this brewery is the definition of a good saison. You're giving it a 3.5 because you don't like saisons, but you think it's not bad. Like, this is the definition of a true saison. Why are you giving it a 65 or a 70? So that's really forced me to take a look.
We Untappd is full of different types of thinking people. When I originally started, I wanted to be extra snobby, like beer advocate level. I thought I was knowing what I was drinking. I wasn't. I was just a consumer throwing back beers, and I would go from the range of 1.5 to 5, you know, all across the board, being pretty aggressive on the ratings, believing what I read kind of thing and tasted, but palate wasn't developed, you know. It was very consumerism focused. But as I've grown in craft beer, tasted craft beer, palate shifting around all sorts of ways over 10 years and more, I'm now rating more on a marketing sales side in the favor of breweries to hope to get people to drink whatever I'm having when they see it.
You want them to have it.
Yeah. So, of course, now being in a podcast and you talk to these owners, brewers, head brewers, canning line, all these people who make it happen, you realize that, you know, you are having an impact on an industry that you don't directly work for and make an income of. So I just kind of take that into my ratings now. As an example of yesterday, I rated this PBR can of Godzilla 5 stars for Godzilla. But that's a non-serious note because it's PBR, so beer heads are going to know, just kind of like, yeah, he's just enjoying it's Godzilla or whatever. It's a celebration of Toho. But hey, only time I really slide the scale back beyond a 4 into the lower is if I absolutely know a style has gone bad wherever I've drank it. And I'll put a description there. But more often than not, if I don't like it, I don't rate it. And I'll just say, not my thing. Palette may not be agreeing with me today, whatever, if I want to leave a comment. But I don't want to affect that score negatively if I'm not able to actually give an opinion that's solid. But I am giving out 5s a little more for when I have a truly enjoyed moment and I can explain why. But if I can't explain why, it drops back down to that 4.75 because I'm not what do you call it? I don't pay for my sub. So
Insider.
0.7, yeah, insider. So 4.75, 4.5, 4.25 is usually the sliding scale just to keep it above bar to where people will still find it to put their butt to. So yeah, that's my thought on it now. But back in the day, it was the Wild West, and it still is.
Steve, how was yours changed? Because you do kind of what Rich or which Mitch just said was like when you don't really like something, there's a point of demarcation. You mentioned this before. You won't rate it.
Anything below a 3.50 for me, I won't rate. So if it's a 3.50 for me, I just go, I may not have it again. Now, because kind of as Mitch said, and I think we all could be like this, because our beer tastes change. I may have it a year from now and I go, this has gone up for me. I like it more now, right? I think about some of the stuff I've rated. I rated a beer the other day. It was a New England Hazy IPA from Zool, and I rated it a 4.75. That's my first 4.75 this year. I'm in more of the 3.75 to 4 to 4.25. If I'm rating something a 3.75 on Untappd, I'm probably having it again. If I'm rating it a 4 or above, I'm definitely going to have it again. That's my own criteria. But yeah, I don't rate too many things a 5. I mean, if it's a 5, it's like the perfect moment of life where like, holy crap. But you know, I think a 5 should be, in my opinion, I think if you're rating something that's perfect, I mean, how many beers are just absolutely perfect? You know? I mean, it's kind of like going into, okay, I can equate this going, if you're going, whatever you like, right? Whatever food, let's say you're going into a restaurant, a very nice upscale restaurant, and you're getting a steak, right? And you're going, man, this steak was just perfect for me, right? I think that's a good analogy.
And Sean, you've been to a lot of places. Ambiance or the place or the experience could add to that too. Just
Mhm.
like kind of like you're referencing there. Maybe the beer's not exactly perfect, and you're not taking any points off, but you're like, man, met some great people, and I walked out of that place, and you felt great and about the place. And
Your
you know what?
tummy's
That
full.
damn
You had
beer's
a
getting
good
5.
steak. You had good
Yeah.
beer, right?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is maybe there's a difference between you bought it in a can and you brought it home and you got it, or you're somewhere and you're getting it on from a tap or
Right.
something. It's like that can make a difference too.
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
Do
I
you-
think so. And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've had beers that I let sit too long
Mm-hmm.
and they aged out, and I popped it open just to get rid of it, and I had tried it and was like, I'm not gonna rate this just because this is not what they intended it to taste like. It's had a year in my refrigerator or
Yep.
something.
That's on you,
Is
right?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops, wet
Yeah.
cardboard. My bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No fault of their own.
We definitely had that in when we were at a cigar lounge. Probably 2 years ago, Mitch? 3 years
Oh
ago.
yeah, I brought the diacetyl.
Yeah,
card.
we had the gambit of IPAs lined up, and Mitch brought out his that were a little past its prime, and the minute you opened it, it expanded, very foamy, and then you pour it and drink it, and you're like, "Yep, this is not the age range an IPA should sit at."
Yep, I got
So
a
we've
lot of
been there
things
before.
that day.
Oh yeah, that happens.
With Untappd, I'm kind of wondering when they're gonna add any kind of snark to when you check something in, like this style again, because you've checked in 5 or so of these earlier. I'm waiting for a little spice to their algorithm of checking in, a little voice to their check-in mentality behind it.
It could be a badge, right, Sean?
Yeah.
Maybe a badge where it's like,
Yeah.
because
They kind of already exist, though, Scott. It's just they're
Yeah.
not being snarky about it. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're getting a, super style IPA New England hazy level 50, that
Yeah.
means you've had 500 of those super style. They're just not throwing it in your face. What they need to do is be like, they just need to have a badge called "Oh, this style again," and every time you just level up, you get like level 2. "Oh, this style again," or something like that.
also check out some of our other badges too.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see you at 50K.
Yeah, Sean's almost there, man. He's got,
I know.
like 200. You're less than 300 beers from hitting 50,000 unique check-ins. That's nuts. How do you?
That's gonna be a day there. Because have you ever been to a flying saucer?
I don't think so. I've heard
Okay.
of them, but I've never been to them.
Well, we lost the one here in Nashville. There's
That's
one in
right.
Memphis still, but they had a thing for however many check-ins off their large tap wall, you get a plate, and then you
It was
make the whole
200
round
beers
of
on
200
tap.
beers. Yeah,
200 beers.
200 tap beers. Good point. 200 beers on tap. They had to be on
Yeah.
tap beers. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay.
it would be great if Untappd would celebrate the 50K, especially, but there should be some sort of bracket. If not, we're going to celebrate with you at some point.
And
But
by the way,
it's
let me
just-
follow up on that. That was 200 beers on tap almost before the whole crap beer movement. So there was a
Whoa, yeah.
lot. So there was
It's
a
easy
lot
to
of
do
different.
that nowadays.
Yeah. That was because the one in Nashville was downtown, and I used to go down there sometimes. And yeah, that's going back. I don't even know if there are any around anymore in the country, but that was
Memphis
way
should be.
before. I mean, that goes back 20 years. That was way before craft beer was a big movement. So there was a lot of different things you could get from other cities, but they weren't exactly craft beer or considered craft beer.
Right. When you got, I think because you had to pay, I think it was like a one-time fee that you paid for a subscription to get at Flying Saucer, and then you got a card. And I really wish they would have spent more time on their, streamlining the process, but they ended up just doing a bunch of janky plugins and third-party and APIs. It just is never good, but basically you could go up, swipe your card, your Flying Saucer card, you could select the beers and add it, and then you would get a printout, and then you had to take that printout, put it to your ticket. The waiter had to go back and add it onto the account. It's just like, why wouldn't you just? It's just like I put them in the computer.
Yeah, that's
why not just put
way
it on
too
my
much.
account there? Yeah.
That's
And
a
if you
lot of
did, and if you
steps.
didn't put it in with your ticket, then they never got counted at the end of the night, so you never got credit for it. But like,
Oh,
there were
man.
milestones along the way: 50, 100, 150. You got discounts and stuff, Sean. And then when you hit 200, they had what's called a plate party, and you got to invite you and like 10 of your closest friends or whatever, and they gave you like a $200 or $250 credit, and so you could just go. And in order to get 200 beers at a Flying Saucer, I mean, that's multiple thousands of dollars because they weren't cheap, but like
And you're buying
$250
food.
is 250, and you're buying food. But like, to get a $200 credit just to spend on appetizers and beers for you and your friends, like, everybody had a great time. And you got a plate that had your name on it, and you got to
Yeah.
customize it, and then they put it on the ceiling of Flying Saucer. So every time you go in, you could see your plate up on the wall. And unfortunately, when they closed, you had to come get your plate. They took it down for you. Yeah.
What is
rest
this?
in
I
peace.
will say this is I don't know why, maybe this is just funny to me, but this goes back at least 25 years ago. There's 2 beers I remember that I got there I'd never had before at Flying Saucer. It was my first Guinness there and my first Foster's there.
Really?
Oh, Foster's.
Foster's.
Yeah.
Wild.
Your first Guinness ever was at a Flying Saucer?
Yeah, I know, believe it or not. Yep.
That's kind of
And-
wild.
I
I'm
know.
sure they poured that
Foster's, you didn't
correctly.
have it in the Outback.
I didn't have it in the Outback, no. I did not.
Australians are looking at us and laughing right now.
Like,
Like,
what? Yeah.
Foster's beer. Okay.
Foster's, come on. Yeah.
Here's what we'll do: we'll sell them a 32-ounce can for $2.50. They're
Yeah.
gonna love it.
Yeah.
True Australian beer, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Sean, when you hit 50,000, is there a badge for that?
I don't believe so. No. I know they've added some of the upper levels, like 20,000, I think 40,000, but they have not yet added a 50,000 yet.
But what does it take, man?
They don't.
It takes
So I've
people like
asked them,
Sean.
at JBF, I asked them, they said they don't want to do that until a number of people met that milestone.
So probably 10 more.
Yeah.
I think if it's such a unique thing, I think that's the cool part. Like, if only 3
Yeah,
people have hit
sure.
it, man, that's awesome. I also feel like they should have some kind of badge for every 1,000 too. When they don't, you get your 1,000, and I think
Yeah.
it's 2,500,
You
and then
know.
it's like 5,000. I think they should have one every 1,000. That's a pretty good level up. I think that's a lot of beer.
I think so.
They've got.
We should check if there's a Guinness World Record of check-ins, because you could be the first.
That's of all the Guinness World Records, that should be one.
Is Sean the highest? Who's got the highest badge count on Untappd right now? How do we?
You
find
must know,
that?
Sean.
I know. Well, no, I don't.
I'm gonna ask Chat.
I think out of people I know, I have the highest badge count, but I don't know if there's someone out there who has more.
Well, out of all the
Unique
check-ins, though, it's like
check-ins.
we know you've blown our mind. So I want to say you're probably number 1 here, but unless
Sean,
someone is
do-
just
Sean, do you
scraping
know
it all.
your record? You know your record check-in for a day? Do you know what that is?
Like a whole day.
Yeah, whole day.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Well, so for a beer festival, I've done about 130, 140.
What? 130 beers in a
Nice.
day at a beer
Hell yeah.
festival?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Good lord!
Okay, I'm not worthy.
Holy Scott!
Jeez,
Jesus
man.
Christ!
He would run us out of
So-
the damn building.
So we have a big bottle share in December here, like end of year bottle share. We've done like 110 at a bottle share. That's probably the highest that we've ever done at a bottle share.
And okay, so what time are you starting during the day, and what time are you ending to get that many check-ins?
So we'll usually start our bottle shares when we do a big group one, someone's house. We'll probably start around 2 or 3.
Okay.
And we'll go to around midnight.
Okay.
That's sort of by then a lot of people have gone home.
I would think so.
Yeah. The hardcore people are still sticking around and still going.
like
The few beer
Oh,
shares
great.
that were dwindling, like 2023 that I was at that were at homes, it was around 2 a.m., 2:30 I was departing because people were
Hey.
starting to crash on couches. I was like,
Yeah.
it's over. I'm heading on. But I wasn't checking anything in.
Yeah.
And have you
I
ever,
was just
Sean?
taste.
Yeah. And Sean, have you ever looked on your Untappd? Have you ever looked at your rankings as far as like what's the highest beer style that you've checked in?
Yeah.
I
I-
looked because they do that during the end of year. I've
Yeah.
done that and looked at that. I would say it's probably IPAs, just
Yeah.
because IPAs are just so prevalent.
Oh yeah.
Still to this day, I'm shocked that so many people are still just drinking IPAs like crazy. So
There's a on Untappd, you can turn on notifications for people, right? Like if Steve checks in something, I get a notification if I want to turn it on. Sean, I'm not turning yours on, man.
Nope.
It will
turn on shots.
never stop. I'm like, no, it's
I don't think I've friended them yet. I need to.
So there's a Reddit subthread, Untappd subreddit on.
Is that the
and-
5-year-old one?
No, well, I don't know, but this just happened one day ago. Untappd acquired by NextGlass, a leading global provider of software, data, e-commerce, and marketing solutions to the beverage alcohol industry, announced today the acquisition of Charlotte-based Ecos, the leading supply chain management software platform for craft beverage producers. From craft breweries and distilleries, Ecos is a comprehensive software solution that streamlines production, manages inventory, yada, yada, yada. Untappd acquired by NextGlass.
interesting.
Okay. They're going more corporate now then.
Yep, it looks like it.
So much for any kind of like creative control. Okay.
A lot of people
Oh, well.
going, that explains a lot beyond adding a bunch of products I don't even consume, like THC drinks.
yeah.
They really push that hard.
Yeah, they really have. I mean,
Yeah.
they're cheap to make, right? Because you don't have to age them, you don't have to lager them. I mean, they're just basically seltzers, right? Which you
They're
can pump out pretty
RTD.
quick. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And 450 does that too. Going back to our 450 North, like not on the THC, but the slushy stuff. Like it's really easy to pump out a slushy beer. And if you go to 450 right now, they have 3 pages front and back of different beers that you can get. 2 of them are slushies out of those 3 because they're so easy to produce.
Yeah.
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 There's
those
not-
are
there-
the most. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mitch.
Those are the most fun cans to open. I'll give them that.
Slushy beers?
Yeah. You have to slowly roll them if they've been chilled
Yeah.
for a while.
You want to get the mix that fruit in there.
Yeah.
So it's a whole process and presentation with the mix versus just popping it and going, oh shit, or not.
Yep.
But yeah.
And sometimes, and you got to keep them chilled too. Sometimes they'll explode on you.
Oh yeah.
If you don't keep them
yeah.
cold.
I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, but I see a 10,000 unique check-in badge called Uber, I think. Uber,
Yeah.
is it Uber or is it? I don't see one
There is an
beyond
Uber.
that. Dairy, let's see.
How was there not one? So was there one between 10 and 50? Was there a 20,000 or a 25,000?
I think there is.
That was so
Because
long
they
ago
just
for
added
you.
those within the last 6 months.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to look on the app now because there's got to be. If I go look
I
at the
actually-
badges.
Sean, I actually reached out to Untappd once and I said, hey, I don't need to know the names, but we're just curious, like what is the most check-ins you guys have? What is that number? They wouldn't tell me. They actually replied back and said, no, we don't, privacy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't need to know the person's name. I just want to know what the number is. We're just curious. And they wouldn't tell
And
us.
as I understand it, what I've been told is they don't want to make it into a game where like people are just checking in beers just to get the highest score.
Sure.
So they don't open that privilege information up. I have to admit, as far as I know, I'm number 2. There's someone in Sweden who is higher than me.
No
Hang
shit.
on. Hold on. I was looking at my phone. Sean, you're number 2 on highest unique check-ins on Untappd. Did I hear that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get the
It's a
fuck
gentleman that
out.
lives in Malmo, which is like the 3rd largest city in Sweden.
Wow.
And I only know that because someone I met last time I was down in San Diego was like, "Oh, I know somebody who has more than you,"
Get the hell out of
and he's at
That's
like
wild.
52. So
Well, we
but
need to get you 2 guys together.
So Sean's the
and-
highest in the United
Yeah.
States? Is that right?
Yeah.
as far as I know, right? Once again,
What?
there could be someone out there who has more than me. Even more than the guy in Sweden. I just don't know because they won't share that information.
Wow.
I hope, because this May I'm gonna go to Copenhagen for the big beer festival there, which is crazy. That's a crazy beer festival. I'm pretty sure I want to meet him there and sort of meet up with him and have a beer with him.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, if you two get together, you should be like, "Hey, Untappd, here's
Hey,
the
Untappd."
bulk of your check-ins right here, side by side." I do feel like you need some recognition. From
Sean,
him.
do
I
you
understand.
remember the very first craft beer you had?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, once again, right, as I said, I was really into ciders and lambics
Sure.
and fruit beers.
Yeah.
So I think the first check-ins were all ciders. I was really big on a cider company called Woodchuck out of Vermont.
Yeah.
Remember,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. But
So that was sort
even
of-
prior to Untappd, I mean, you were getting into craft beer though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a number like Fruly, the strawberry beer,
Yeah.
the banana bread beer, Wells.
Yeah.
I had
Oh, yeah.
that prior to that. I really wasn't into IPAs. I actually had IPAs, but I wasn't really my style of choice. Obviously, Untappd sort of, I was like, well, for fun, because there was a bar that was across the street from where I worked, and they specialized in a huge selection. Now they're long gone; they've been closed since 2016, I want to say. But I was like, I'm gonna try to have as many beers as they have, and try to work my way through their collection. So that's how I got really sort of down this path of really going hard at Untappd.
Right. But were you trying craft beers? I mean, there was craft beers out there in the 90s. Were you trying craft beer then?
No, I was more so in college. I was more into cocktails. Yeah, like I used to enjoy old fashioned or a screwdriver.
Oh, yeah,
Those were
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
my
yeah.
Go-to cocktails. It was only at that bar I was sort of, because I sort of tended more to sort of sweeter, fruitier styles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if this is, I mean, I consider it a craft beer, but mine was St. Bernardus Abbot 12, pulled me more into like a craft beer avenue. Then the lambics as well, and just all that Germanic beer. And it's like, oh, there's flavor. I'm pulled.
Yes.
I mean, I look. There's a brewery here in Nashville, Blackstone, and I moved here in 1998. And I know the first time I went there, probably 1998, 1999, and I remember going there, and they had craft beer, obviously, because and I can't remember which is the first one I had, but I just remember going there, going, well, this is different than the regular domestics.
Yeah.
If I had to like trace it back, I'd probably trace it back to that year, one of those years, 1998, 1999. But you're after that then.
Yeah. I used to drink Heineken if I was in the mood for a beer.
Yeah.
I look back now and I'm horrified by my beer taste.
Well, I think we all probably are back in the day.
Yeah, we've changed. We've all changed.
Oh, I was like, shot top. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Tried that.
Shandies.
We've changed for the better, and things have gotten better too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Quick thing I saw going back to your IPs, and I can't tell if it's the highest rated one, but style wise for you, Sean, American IPAs be 316 check-ins, and that's just the American version.
Sure.
And then you got the double IPAs at 1986, New England IPAs 1714. It's ridiculous. New England Hazies 2420. God damn, it's okay.
Sean's
It's
had
probably in
more
the IPA
IPAs than
category.
I've had total check-ins. That's insane.
We really don't need our Untappd link to any kind of health app
Nope.
database. We
Do you drink alcohol? Nope.
can't happen.
No, Sean lies to his doctor. He's like, no,
Yeah.
man, I had it. You know when you fill out like
I've
a
only
health
got
thing,
one
you
a
say,
week.
How many drinks do you have a week? Or something, 1 to 3, 3 to 5. I'm like, mine's not even on here.
You're counting
I think
beers too?
There was a meme I saw once. It was like, I have 5 to 8. Oh, you mean not what day?
He goes, how many beers have you had? He's like, 3 to 4. He's like 3 to 4 a week? He goes, a week? He goes, you've had 3 to 4 beers a day? He goes, you're counting beers too?
Yes.
Sean's like, I had that on the way over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. With lunch, I stopped in.
For lunch, quick lunch.
So
How
do
else
you
can I
know,
talk to
Sean,
people
do you
with
know
white
off the
coats?
top of your head and feel free to look since you've had so many check-ins, but maybe you do. You've given some 5s before.
Yes.
What is your highest rated beer on Untappd?
Well, as I was saying, those 5s are sort of very dated.
Yeah.
Like I think I was a big fan of Redbird. I don't know if you ever had Redbird.
Redbird.
It's a fruit beer from Texas. I have I have no explanation for that. Now I probably try to be 3.8, 3.9.
Okay.
I probably skew more towards big stouts,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but once again, I don't really give 5s. So
Right.
any 5 scores you would see would sort of be a byproduct of my early drinking
That's
on
fair.
Untappd.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. So then, that being the case, you mentioned that most of your beers, if you like it, will start at 4 and then work your way up. What is typically the highest rating you'll give to a beer consistently without going to a 5? Maybe that's the way I want to ask the question then.
So I'll give
Will you
a
give 4 9s?
4.5.
Okay.
4.5. But that's a really good beer. That's a beer that I really enjoy because so 4 is to style, but anything beyond that is sort of the flavor profile is so good,
Yeah.
which is going to be more stouts, I feel.
Mhm.
You know, if I get 5 adjuncts and I'm tasting them and they're fully in that stout, then
That's a
yeah,
good beer.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
like those. Or something that but I could drink this all day.
That's a good point because, it's very easy to hide mistakes in an IPA when you're brewing a beer, right? Because if something messes up, just you have hops to kind of mask your mistake. And this is why I think, Mitch can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the reasons Mitch likes the Crispy Boys so much, the Pilsners, is because it's very hard to mask a mistake in a Pilsner. Like, you will notice immediately if there's something wrong with a Pilsner. So when you get a very good, clean Pilsner, there's something about that rating because they didn't do anything wrong to that beer. Whereas with stouts are probably the same way. If you have a really high ABV stout and it's got 5 or 6 adjuncts in it and you can taste every single one of them separately, that is a very well-made beer. But if you have a stout that's got 2 or 3 adjuncts in it and you have a hard time picking out any of them, probably not what was intended, but what they decided to put out anyway, just because there's no point in wasting beer. So they're gonna sell it.
I agree, and that's I've used that argument before, right? IPAs just add more hops, and if a stout's not what you want, just add more adjuncts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll get what you want out of it.
But breweries are also doing better lagers now.
Mhm.
And lagers are something you could drink all day long. So are you factoring those in?
Oh yeah. I think right now I think we're in a moment of pilsners and crispy lagers. That's where craft beer is at. Not to
Yes.
say New England style IPAs aren't around, but also I've had a lot of lately, the high end barrel aged stouts, but not adjunct.
Yeah.
Just a stout, maybe aged 6 or 12 months in a barrel, but no adjuncts. I think that style's sort of coming back.
Yeah.
There's the answer to a question I didn't have, is what does Sean seem to think is kind of coming back into play in terms of the beer world? Because it's cyclical, right? I mean, you go from there's the IPA craze for the longest time was how many IBUs can you make something, which we've talked with multiple people that don't even believe that number is real, but you can go from, how hoppy and how dank can you make a beer, and then it was how high in gravity can you make a beer, and then it was, how sour can you make something, and kettle sours without actually the true process. But what seems to be coming back around this time, you're thinking it's traditional barrel aged stouts with no adjuncts, and then like lagers and pilsners, like clean beers.
Well, and let me also say too, it's a great conversation because these breweries know that. And they're being forced into people are drinking light lagers, so they're having to up their game and make better lagers. And it's such a great thing to see.
I do have to assume the reason why a lot of lager pilsners and crispy boys are back in action is because the craft beer community for the past 25 years are now mostly late 20s, 30s, and
Yeah.
older crowds. There's not a whole lot of young blood coming in to craft breweries as much as RTD and cocktails and etc. right now. So it's kind of like I just used the motion for 6-7, but it we don't.
Thank you, Mitch. We love you.
There's no push from a younger generation for style. So, but the push is cyclical, like you said. It's now we're back to the crispy boys. So,
And they want better.
see.
And they want better. So the younger generation, as you call them, they want better tasting beers, and they associate lagers with that instead of going, well, okay, it's not a stout, not an IPA. That's crap beer, right?
Or is what Mitch saying? The younger generation isn't drinking as much.
Yeah.
And
I do agree.
It's folks like us that are in 30s, 40s, 50s that are
We're still
they're propping the craft beer scene up, and our styles are changing because we're going to work now, and either we're getting more and more put on us, and we don't have time to sit down and drink 2 15% stouts because we just have to get up and go to work the next day. Sometimes we just want beer.
my younger self was all about high ABV, heavy stouts, barrel aged stouts, adjunct stouts, like the pastry stout era. The how hoppy can an IPA get, because the IPA that broke me into IPAs was Hop Slam and 120 minute IPA for Richard, where we finally were like, oh, those are hops. We got slapped silly by them to understand them before we got to appreciate them.
Yep.
It was weird, but it's just a weird thing. And then here we are with Crispy Boys lagers, but there's no extra push. IPAs are just becoming this bandwidth that just doesn't change, that just sells for whatever reason. But I don't know. Well, I haven't talked to anyone under 30 in years about craft beer, so I'm very curious what what they're looking for. Are they going to be looking at shandies? I don't know. But
God, shandies. I haven't heard about those in a while.
Well, they're looking for sweetness if they're going for like.
Unless you go to Hop
and
Frog, and they're all about the shandy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm very curious, and I just have to assume, especially with like Stokehouse that opened in Nashville, they're sticking to classic stuff, and what sells right now are IPAs and classic lagers, pilsners, and even porters to a point. The seasonal kind of porter is here. So it's just kind of a weird thing. I don't know.
But
I wish I had more
Stokehouse has the corner of the market on just good damn beer.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
Rich, you said something at Common John, and Sean, I'd like to get your opinion on this. You said craft beer was created because of the old traditional lagers and whatnot, right? The old style stuff. That's why craft beer was created, because that stuff wasn't good, and we've come full circle
To old style.
back to old style, and it's so good. You obviously are seeing that, Sean.
It's interesting because some of the biggest craft beer nerds that I know will go, give me a super cold PBR any day of the week. It's
as long
weird.
as it has Godzilla on the can.
As long as it's got Godzilla on the can.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's right.
Mitch.
Dedicated craft beer nerd drinking a PBR. But like, it's weird to me that, you've got these guys drinking, that can determine the difference between different stouts and barrels and things like that, going, man, on a hot day, just give me old style. As long as it's super cold, which is two things you never hear in the craft beer industry. Like, if I'm a craft beer nerd, I'm drinking a stout, I'm going to let it warm up a little bit. But now I need to have an old style, but it has to be really cold. Otherwise, it's going to taste like ass. But it's really weird. To Scott's point, I'm interested in Sean's thoughts too, how we've come full circle on that, because now that's just like we're going back to those beers.
On that point, before you answer, for some reason, Tennessee distro now has Lone Star. It has Milwaukee. It has Old Milwaukee. It has all sorts of other very domestic water in our stores now. And I'm very curious as to why. And I don't know if it's Tennessee. Our distro has always been very shit-tastic, for lack of a better word. It sounds like they're opening it more and more every year, even for this domestic kind of economy beer style. But it's strange. So I don't know what, your area is looking like.
Well, I definitely feel that it is cyclical. We have come full circle in the sense like it was craft beer. It was a reaction to lagers, American Budweiser Coors and stuff like that.
The
And
macro.
it is sort of come around where now the lager is back in the craft beer world. I think this is my opinion that the West Coast IPAs will come back at the tail end of this. That it is sort of cyclical. Your palate changes, and on some level, we're all sort of drinking the same beer, and we've all sort of got our palates moving in the same direction. Where we were all drinking stouts, 15% stouts, and then the hazy IPA. Like, I think it will come back around. One thing I always joke about with my friends, like, craft beer died in the mid 90s, right? There was those sort of early breweries that sort of paved the way, and they all sort of died out. There was a great retraction of craft beer. And on some level, I think we're back at that. If we stick with craft beer in 10 years, you'll be able to say, like, I remember drinking whatever brewery, won't be around much longer, right?
Yeah.
On the West Coast, like Modern Times.
Yeah.
Modern
Wow,
Times
I
was a
remember
big-
Modern Times.
That was huge on the West Coast. We were
They don't
always
distribute
drinking.
out here anymore. We used to get them in Tennessee.
So they barely exist.
Yeah.
They had to sell to Maui, and they expand. There was like 5 Modern Times, 5 or 6, all up and down the West Coast. They overexpanded. The assumption being, as I understand, that they were going to try to sell like Ballast Point for $1 billion, but that market dried up. There was no one to spend $1 billion,
No.
and they got sort of caught, held in the bag, and were heavily leveraged. But that's my point, right? Breweries are going to go away, and in 5-10 years, craft beer will come back. And if you're still around drinking craft beer, I remember, because I know old craft beer drinkers who's like, oh, I remember Albion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I'll even equate it to like bourbon. Like, it went away for a while and it came back full force. I think craft beer, but it always stuck around. All these other things came in, whether it be non-alcoholic stuff or all these other variant things. And same thing with whiskey. You had these flavored vodkas and you had this other stuff, and then it all still settled out at the end of the day. Like, we're still here. You guys can have all your little things that come and go, but we're still going to be. I think craft beer is going to be that. It's always going to be here. It's just going to be in kind of what form.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
And we should wind down because we've kept this man so long. His average numbers are going down.
I know.
We're keeping the
interrupting
man
his
from
numbers.
checking in his beers.
There's that guy in, where'd you say, Scotland that's ahead of you?
Yeah, Sweden. Yeah,
I mean,
We're hurting his average,
Sweden. As we speak, he's
We can't
checking
let
in.
him. We can't let him win.
Yeah.
the whole time I've been talking to you guys, I've been getting notifications from my friends.
Checking in beers.
They're checking
Sean?
in beers, giving me a hard time for not being there drinking with them.
If you want, you can have 4 at a time on here. We don't care. We
Yeah,
just
really.
drink out of this straw and drink out of this straw. He's like, these sons of bitches that got me for 2 hours. Just know you are kind of our leader in this Untappd thing. We look at you like, okay, that's where my compass is pointing. We're never going to catch you, but that is it's really a cool thing.
Sean the North Star.
We can all go around and we can, but I want to end on this last one thing. Should Untappd have its own criteria at this point? Not to tell us what to do, but say, hey, these maybe are the couple of benchmarks as far as what breweries are seeing. 3.5 should be this, 4 should be this. Should they come out with some kind of, call it criteria or something, just to guide some people to keep them from doing the dumb shit?
I've had that conversation before with people. They should, but nobody will be happy with it. All right, if you came up with like, 5 is this, 4.75 is this, people would complain about that. Like, oh, well, that's way too high or that's too low or, so I've always wanted the ability to say, hey, I don't want my scores factoring into an average. To say, hey, these are my scores. Don't factor them in, because then I could be more free-willing with my scores because I know it's not having a negative effect on the brewery. To sort of say, hey, don't factor in my 2.5 because I don't want that brewery suffering because I don't like their beer.
Great point. Well, I never thought about that before.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Would it be?
You also think, sorry, real quick, shouldn't they be able to throw out like a low score and a high score? like a brewery should be able to, like, hey man, these couple of dopes over here and these
Sure.
couple of whatever, so that so they average out right. I don't know. I just feel like they should have a little more control over it. The breweries ought to be able to have a little more control over the scores they get.
Yeah, but breweries won't ever allow. They don't want to get any. Then every beer's will be 5.
Yeah.
You know,
They don't want to give
They
you an
wanna-
opportunity to give a 3
They
or
want
a
to
2
move
point.
it.
Yeah.
They want to move
Yeah,
their beer.
Yeah.
Scott, it's ironic that you brought that up because I was actually thinking about this the other day, and the question that was literally in my head was, could I make the Untappd rating system better? That was literally the problem I was trying to solve. And what ended up going through my head was, if I could, rather than start out with a blank slate, if I could check in a beer, and it's an option to turn it on, an option, like whatever you want to do, but the option to say, okay, when I check in a beer, here are the list of things that I would check for in a beer that I'm going to rate. True to style, to Sean's point, how true to style is it? And there's a benchmark series of questions for each beer. And depending on how I rate that on the scale, 1 to 5, true to style or not, gives me an average rating at the end that I then have the ability to move that up and down the scale. So instead of saying, oh, I have a great beer in front of me or a beer in front of me, I start at 0, between 0 and 5, where do I rate this beer? I'm forced to sit there and say, okay, true to style, this. Adjuncts, can I taste this? Yes. And I go through, 3 or 4 questions, and then it pops out a number on that scale of 0 to 5. And I might go, okay, so that's the actual rating. And then I check it in, but it gives me the ability to slide back and forth to increase or decrease. It gives me the ability to give my own rating, but it also gives me a base based on a set of questions that are set for that style of beer. The thing that I kept running into is people are not going to want to do that every time they check in a beer. They want to check it in, they want to give a rating, and they want to go.
They're just drinking and rating.
They're just drinking, and that's what they want to do. So that's kind of when I went back to the whole, like, you have the option to turn it on, or you have the option to do it for a check-in or not. I feel if I'm enjoying a really good beer, I want to rate it as close to the rating that I feel I should give it as possible. I'm going to want to go through that checklist. But if I'm Sean and I'm at a beer festival checking in 150 beers in a single day, I don't care about that. I just want to take a note and I want to move on.
Rich, I agree with that. I really agree with that, because I feel like true to style, when I'm rating beers, maybe I think about that. But if it popped up in front of me and I'm rating it, I'm going, now I have something to really think about more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
And maybe sometimes I care and sometimes I don't. Right, Mitch?
So devil's advocate here. That's why Beer Advocate exists.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I convert my
Untappd is
numbers
for
over to
hit it, just like pop, 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 pop check-ins. But if you want to detail a beer, Beer Advocate's more of the snobby area.
But
how
I
to
guess the
cross that
problem is-
medium.
No, it's a good point. But I guess my thing is, the first place that most people go to when they're looking to see if their friends have had a beer is not
Untappd.
Beer Advocate.
Not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, the true nerds might actually use Beer Advocate, but they're not doing that when they're making a decision in a beer store going, have any of my buddies had this beer yet, and what have they given it?
The first step to trying out a system like that, in my opinion, of the current app, would be all the paid subscribers get access to higher level beer reviews that count towards a brewery's overall rating.
There you go.
But
Give
that
it
would
to
be
the
a whole
insiders.
pocket.
Yep.
Yeah. It'd
Give it
be
to the
a
insiders.
insider's pocket.
Yep. I'd agree to that.
People that don't subscribe like me don't get to see it, but breweries get the data back to them. They have 2 ratings, and it's one that includes the overall and then one that's specific. But I don't know. There could be caveats to that. Data guys could go crazy with it, but there is a way to make it better. But they're going to look at marketability and how many more people can they get to subscribe at this point.
Mhm.
They're not going to make it better for the brewery. We'd have to make our own app at this point,
Right.
Yeah.
which we probably could do.
Guys, anything and any of you guys want to end on? And Sean, we're going to end with you at the end because you're the featured guest.
The guest of honor.
Yes. What wisdom can you impart on us to drink more beer?
Yes. How do we?
Well, thank you for having me. I had a great time talking with you guys. I don't know. It just craft beer, for good or bad, it's been in my life now. I always tell people I'm so committed to Untappd now. I can't stop. At this point, I'm sort of committed to sort of, as long as that app exists, I have to check at beers because all that will be for naught if I stop. So
Right.
Love
Yeah.
the hat, by the way. Half Acre. I've
Yes.
had a few from them
Yes.
and
they're
haven't
great
had it
beer,
from a
yeah.
while. Yeah, love them.
Sean, real quick, when you go to type or check in and like Untappd is down, right? And it'll say it's not you, it's us kind of thing. And you're like, my fucking numbers don't come back when this thing comes up. They will be hell to pay.
Yes.
I
Like,
earned
damn
that.
it!
Especially if I'm like checking a lot of beers, like, hey, I need it up now. I'm
Right.
checking it. I'm doing some serious heavy work here.
It always seems to happen at the worst
Exactly.
time. Like you're at a beer
I don't want to be
festival,
cheated out of my numbers.
I'm betting they never expected somebody to get this high in numbers. Like they had to
No.
have changed the data type on their database check-ins at some point.
Yeah.
Be like, shit, we're running out of space, guys. We need to
Yeah.
move this number up a little bit.
And I thought about you guys, but when I first started, like it literally was just to see if I had this beer or not, and if I liked it before. That's what it is.
Yep.
And like Sean, like you said, like you get past a certain number, or you get to a number, you're like, oh, this is kind of real. I kind of need to keep going with this. These are real numbers.
Yep.
I want to see a war map at this point, like Risk style. I want to see Copenhagen in the U.S. now.
There you go.
Can we have the cool music in the background too, Mitch? Like while we're looking at the map?
Absolutely, GoldenEye style. start
Yeah.
menu.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Sean, we're gonna keep tabs on you, man. We're gonna watch your for fans.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Sounds
Thank
you,
good.
Sean.
Yes. Nice talking to you all.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it, brother.
Yes.
Thank
have a good
you.
evening.
Cheers,
Go get
man.
some beer, man.
Thanks for
Cheers.
joining us.
See you,
My
Sean.
pleasure.
Thanks, Sean.
Bye.
Cheers.